Okay, so this is our lid number 3. It's got the flange, and this edge sits on the gallery. Actually, show you fourth video. So that edge sits down on this gallery. All right, so we're gonna trim it now. And this is gonna be like pretty much like trimming most anything that you do, like a bowl, except we don't wanna touch this edge because this edge already has the correct measurement. If your measurement is off, you can take a little off there, but doesn't feel like I need to. I'm feeling for the depth of my clay right here, which is about 3/8 of an inch, so I don't need to take too much off of there. This is leather hard. I'm gonna flip it over and get it centered. And you wanna think about the profile of your piece so that you create a lid that matches nicely. That's centered. That seems to work. So to stick this down, we have to get the clay under those little edges. So I'm gonna make kind of thin little snakes. I'm gonna try to squish them under that ledge so it covers it. Otherwise, it may come off. And then especially like if you did need to take some off of that edge, you would want to make sure that this is under and not on that edge. Okay, so I'm gonna keep the contour of my piece in mind as I start to trim, and I'm gonna trim this edge first. And I don't have too much that I want to take off the top, so I'm going to kind of leave most of that. I'll take just a little bit off. And then trim it down. Again, think of the shape of your pot.
So why did you switch to round in versus flat in hard out? Are you gonna leave that or?
Because with my flat edge of the tool, I get more grooves dug in there, like hard edges, whereas with the rounded edge, it doesn't seem to leave the hard edge, and it's easier to trim away for me. That's why I always say, play with your trim tool and see which side works best for you. Okay, I think that's got a nice gentle dome to it, that'll look nice in my pot. And clean it off. Now, the shape of this is, I could pretty easily grab this with my hand, but I do want to have a knob on top. So right now is the time to add the knob. So I'm going to take my needle tool and I'm going to score just a little bit. And I'm going to add some water on top here and just score a little bit more. And I'm going to take a fresh, soft piece of clay and roll that into a nice little ball. And I'm gonna squish and press down. So that's why you have to make sure your lid's leather hard and it's not too thin. So that's why I really was like, even if it's a little heavy in the top, I'm fine with that. But if this is really thin and I try to add a knob on top, it's not gonna work. So in that case, I probably would have left it without a knob. And so now this is just like throwing a tiny, tiny, itsy bitsy pot. So I've got to get this centered back on my lid. So I'm compressing it down and coning it back up. You know, it's like getting just my fingers wet. I'm not taking my sponge and wetting the whole thing. Okay. So you want to think about the knob and the shape of the knob so that the design of the knob fits with the lid, that fits with the top. So I've got kind of something that's going to be kind of egg shaped. I may want to echo that egg shape. So color that a little bit. And we have sort of a little rounded knob. I like something with a lower profile. So I usually like to do a knob like this and kind of drop my hole. And then I can flare that open, and then that's going to create a nice knob that I can kind of grab with 2 fingers. Okay, so clean that off. And take my little wads of clay off. And now this should fit pretty nicely. There. It's got a good profile. So I have to still trim my pot. But now, because you just threw your wet knob on here, make sure that you don't leave this out to dry just in the air. Cover it with plastic like you would with a mug for at least 24 hours so that this has time to get to the same moisture content as the lid it's sitting on. And then it should be fine.